I still had another year on my playing contract. John Kingston obviously took over as DOR and made the offer for me to become player coach as a defence coach. And I took some time to think about it and realised that whether I'll be playing or whether I'm coaching, there's no possible way I'll be giving 100%. There'll always be a little bit of fatigue on one side or a lack of focus or concentration on whichever you were trying to concentrate on. So I'd never be able to dedicate 100%. So I'll be letting myself down, and more importantly, I'll be letting the team down. I wouldn't be giving them my absolute all. I just thought, why not grab this opportunity with both hands, give it the best shot, and that's why I've come to my decision. Well, we were full-time professional. We were full-time professional. And this game actually is against Northampton. We were in what the Championship is now, and it was like the old FA Cup. So you could cause upsets and surprises. You didn't know who you were playing. It was a draw element. It was a Power Gen Cup, and this particular instance, it was a hell of a game. I think the score ended up 34 all at half-time. I scored a hat-trick in this game. This is one of the tries. We ended up losing 55-44 in extra time. It was special times. I thoroughly enjoyed 3 years there, made some great mates, and it was I wouldn't say a stepping stone. We were full-time professional, but I suppose certainly not the sort of setup you get in a Premiership club. Mark Evans sort of took a punt, as he says, on me. 3-month contracts, dream come true, playing the Premiership with international players, against international players. And I actually enjoyed that first season. You managed to break into the side after 5 games. However, we got relegated, and I found myself back in the Championship where I tried to get out of. Dean Richards came in, big focus on rugby. Andrew Mertens was a major signing back in the day. He committed to the club, and it was probably one of the best things, arguably, you'd never be able to prove it, that happened to the club was relegation. Brought us back down to earth as a club, I suppose, and we could rebuild. And look, when you're winning week in, week out, it's still a very enjoyable time, and that was a cracking year. I made my debut that year in the Six Nations in '07, toured South Africa, but then we obviously had the World Cup camp, and being world champions, playing a World Cup just across the road in France, there was a lot of competition for places, and Lawrence Dallaglio was my competition. I remember he was sat on the bench in this particular game, and this was the first warm-up game after all the training we had done, and it was to put a marker down. And I managed to do that with 4 tries, but getting over the try line's great, but it's actually how you play generally, and we enjoyed a good victory that day. That was the most enjoyable time I had in an England shirt. That entire sort of 7-8 weeks we were out in France, getting written off early on after getting beaten by South Africa heavily in the second group game, and how we sort of bonded as a squad, how we just enjoyed France as a place as well, socially. We sort of tore the sort of script up of what we've been practicing rugby-wise, and players took over and demanded, this is how we're going to get the best out of this group of players. This is what wins you knockout games, and ultimately, we fell at the last hurdle. But you've still got to be quite proud of what you've achieved. But the loss will never leave you. Connor's first full season in charge, and a semi-final win down at Thomond Park, only the second side to beat them in European competition at the time. Yeah, we had good celebrations that time and went on to win the final as well. It's not how you expect to win a trophy. I mean, you've still won it, I suppose, but we were going for the Grand Slam, and we caught an island side on fire, and we just weren't prepared for the intensity and the emotion of the occasion, in all fairness. Unfortunately, they did it, but it doesn't take away the fact that we were still consistently the best side in that tournament. And I know they've won one this year, but at the time England's record was very, very poor in that tournament. The coming together of the squad, the academy guys, like there's 3 in this picture, if you like: Danny Kerr, Jordan Turnhall, Ugo Monye, George Robson, Mike Brown. Those guys coming together with other guys like myself, Ollie Cohn, James Johnson, guys that made a name while being at the club. We managed to peak in this year, and when you are peaking, you want to win stuff, and we managed to be England's champions for the first time. So that's something that'll never be taken away. First time such an historic club's been English champions, and we just want to emulate it. Unfortunately, we fell away a few years after that, but we'll try and get back there. If I ever did look back and you sort of compare to other illustrious players that played for the club and not quite making as many or roughly the same amount, you sort of can look back in a sense of pride. I've just tried to make sure that I give my best every single game, whether I play 5 games or however, 280 of. So far, sort of 3-4 weeks into the job, thoroughly enjoying it. Clearly the pressure of games isn't on every single week, and that'll get interesting and rather tasty and something that, you know, I'll enjoy. And I had 5 weeks to finalise it, 4 weeks now in my coaching role, and at the moment I don't regret it.